All right, so we're on the call with Marietjie van Dyk from 2220. Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Hi, Daryl. Good morning. Yes, my business, I've got a consulting business that focuses on employee benefits. We are a small boutique style consulting practice.
Okay. Tell us quickly what benefits would that be from an HR perspective, from a financial perspective? Where does that come into most companies?
It is from a financial perspective, it is basically benefits for your staff. We do pension and provident fund business. You can have either one of these as an investment only for retirement, or you can include group risk benefits, which would be life cover, disability cover, dread disease cover. And then obviously, a lot of the employers make use of our family funeral benefit, which would cover a member and his family in case of a death. And then we do have loose standing group benefit funds where an employer maybe just wants to look at group benefits for his staff and not necessarily something for retirement. And we also have loose standing funeral benefits for groups. But all of these benefits are based on a group itself. And that differs from individual business, where when you look at group risk benefits, you get it at a much better rate than if you would individually apply for something like that.
Right.
And we also have what we call a free cover limit. So the minute your group is 10 members and more, the service providers offers what they call a free cover limit, based on the dynamics of the whole group, the average age, males versus females, and the amount of cover that we've applied for. But that effectively means that any member, doesn't matter how sick you are or what problem you have, you will get that cover up to your free cover limit.
Right.
If your cover that you qualify for is maybe a little bit above the free cover limit, they will ask you to complete a medical questionnaire or do a medical, but it's members that can actually not get cover anyway, not
Mm.
individual. If you've got a person that's got diabetes, that's had a back operation, all sorts of things like that, it's very difficult for them to get individual cover on a personal policy basis.
I see. So from the
So that
group
is,
perspective, the inclusions or the exclusions rather are kind of are less if there's a group purchase. Is that what you're saying there?
yes, yes,
That makes sense.
definitely,
That makes sense.
definitely.
So tell me this then: if I'm a owner of a company, I've got X amount of staff below me, and I want to make sure that my staff are happy, they feel valued, and they stay. Is this the sort of thing that I should put in place for them so that they feel that, hey, I work at this company and they're looking after me?
Yes, Daryl, definitely. There's a lot of people, let's be honest, they don't necessarily have the budget to do this
Yes.
after they've received their pay at the end of the month.
Right.
So they sort of the last person on their budget list. So when an employer provides something like this, and it's normally a contribution from the employee and a contribution from the employer. And normally the administration cost, the group risk benefit cost, will come from the employer's contribution, the
Right.
balance going into investment, and the members' contribution goes solely into investment. So they are building something up for retirement. And at least if something happens to them while they're in the employ of the company, there's money that will pay out.
So they're
We
covered.
find Yes, they're covered. We find a lot of, if you've had staff working for you for a long time, if something happens like that, an unforeseen death, where do they go? They go to the employer.
Yes, of course.
So, that puts you in a position, and it's not all employers that's got the money to pay for funeral and maybe compensate the family. So this is something that is very beneficial to both employer and employee. And we've actually found that employees look for companies that offer these benefits. because that gives them a little bit more security. So from an employer's perspective, the money that you invest in training your staff, that type of thing, actually is not wasted on someone that's with you for 3 months and then they go on to a next company after you've trained them,
Right.
because they want to stay with you because they've got these benefits.
And it's value. I mean, it's like, hey, the boss is looking after me, and I think that's very important for a lot of people at all ranks within the business. Whether you're a high-ranking staff member or a low-ranking staff member, I think that they need to feel valued for the work that they do, and it goes beyond just the paycheck, as you're saying. It goes into looking
Yes,
after
definitely.
funeral and other benefits too. I think that's fantastic. It really is. What makes you different in the industry? I mean, there's a lot of competition out there, I can imagine, but what makes you stand
Yes.
out above the others?
Daryl, I think what makes us stand out is the service that we offer to our clients. I don't treat an employer that's got 10 members differently to the employer that's got 100 members,
Wow. Okay.
because we found in the industry that a lot of the smaller companies, they just don't get the service. They're just a number when you look at the
Mm.
large corporates. And what we do absolutely everything for the employer on a monthly basis.
Explain it.
I've
What
been
does
in,
that mean? Everything. When you say everything, what is that?
we do their monthly schedule for them.
Right.
We would send that through. So the employer would send us an extract from their payroll. They just download it and email it through. We draw up their schedule and we send it through before the 25th of the month. And we then have, comments columns, so that if someone has maybe absconded or they've resigned or they've had a salary increase, whatever the case may be, we send that through to the employer. Please, this is your final schedule. Confirm if there's any changes.
Mm-hmm.
We found in the industry a lot of financial advisors, they would go to the company, they sell the product, and they leave it in HR's hands to
Oh,
do
yeah.
everything monthly. Now, we are of the view, you know what? It's not their core business. It's my core business. And if you become a client of mine, we do all of that for you. We
It
do
makes so much
your
sense.
withdrawal.
Yeah, it makes so much
Yes,
sense. It's like you don't trust I wouldn't trust myself to do my legal or tax things. I've got my professional tax guy and legal guy to do it. So it's the same thing in your space. They should use you for what you're good at.
exactly. And we understand, we've got so many employers countrywide, and we understand the process. Obviously,
Mm.
it's very busy towards just before month end up to the 7th or the 10th of the month, because in terms of the Pension Funds Act, your provident fund payment should be paid on or before the 7th of the month. So we make
Right.
sure that we keep communicating with the employers, sending them reminders, so that we know that everything is done on time.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we do that a lot of other or most other financial advisors do not do for their clients is we manage your withdrawals and your claims, death claims, etc. There's so many paperwork involved when there's a withdrawal or a death claim. So we ask the employer to please send us all the documents. We double check it. We make sure that the correct affidavit is there, that the correct banking deed, everything is there before we submit it to the service provider.
Okay.
Because what happens if, let's say, someone at HR sends through the form, it lies on the desk of the service provider for a day or two, and then they say, "Oh, there's no tax number completed." Then
Oof.
they send it back.
Yeah.
So it's a waste of time,
Yeah.
and we try and limit that as far as we can for the employer, so that we can give them exceptional service for the employer and for their staff members.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think that's quite unique. As you say, a lot of these guys just sign you up and leave you alone, which I think is risky as well, because if you've signed up that client, you know what their policies are about, you know everything about them in relation to into the service that you're providing. So surely you're the go-to person who makes it a smooth journey forever. And if you are doing that, then that's an absolute unique thing in the industry. As far as I know, many places don't do that. As you say, they just sign you up and walk away. which is crazy in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yes.
They only then come back when they want the next sale, I suppose. But
Yes,
if
definitely.
but if you're
Definitely.
servicing them there from month to month, why would they not use you? I think that's brilliant. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we're very proud. We're a small business, but we are so proud of the service that we provide to our clients because that is why the client starts doing business with you, and then they
Yeah.
experience that service, and they would not go to anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's just and we enjoy it. We are absolutely passionate about employee benefits because, I get to a lot of clients and they don't know what they have. They don't understand it. No one
Mm.
communicates with them and explains it to them.
That's fascinating.
And
So they sign up for a whole lot of stuff. They're paying fortunes for it. They may not be able to claim properly for it just because they don't know. That's interesting.
yes,
That is
yes,
interesting.
yes.
Wow. So you sort that out. You make sure that what they pay for, they get, aside from the good service you give, but the actual product that they pay for, that they get the full benefit of that product. Tell me, as far as the industries you work with, who are some of the, don't tell me the names of your clients, but tell me some of the clients that you deal with or some of the types of industries that you deal with.
I've got clients in mining, in aviation, in construction, IT businesses, farming. Let me just quickly think what others there
I mean, it
are.
sounds like it's across the board from farming to mining to flying. I mean, that's incredible already. I mean,
Yeah,
that's okay. That's amazing. And how did you?
retail businesses.
Sorry, retail. Go ahead. Go ahead. Retail. Yes.
Yeah, retail, large retail stores. So, it's a wide variety. And because we've been dealing with some of these clients for so long, I understand when I get a request from a client, I already know in terms of their business profile and what they do, to which service provider must I go for quotes.
Right.
But normally, what I do, I would request at least 3 quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would explain that properly to the employer because some people or some service providers, their admin fee might be higher, but their risk fee is lower.
Mm.
Others will be the other way around. But I will, I pull it apart and explain to them these are the differences and this is what it actually means. And I like to do that very basic because let's be honest, people don't have chance or they don't have the time to look through a 30-page proposal.
Correct.
So I get all these proposals, I summarize it in a spreadsheet so that I can compare apples with apples and
Yeah.
show the client where the differences are.
And would the client then
But
make that choice themselves? I'd imagine they weigh it all up based on your professional opinion and say, great, this one, even though it's slightly more expensive on this end, but we're saving on this end, so that's the right one for
yes,
my business.
yes. I would obviously advise the client what in my opinion is the better option
Yeah.
because for us it's also extremely important the service that we get from the service provider because we are dependent on that service so that we can provide the excellent service to our client.
That makes
So,
sense. Mm.
you get a lot of companies, but then you don't know how regularly are we going to get statements? How easy is it just to log in and download it? Because if a client phones us or emails us and say, can I please get a statement for this member? Um, we log in, download it, and send it to them within a couple of minutes.
Incredible.
With some service providers, you can only get that once a year,
Oh,
and
wow.
clients don't
You
necessarily know
serious?
that.
That's amazing. I
Yes,
mean, surely it's my finances. I need to know what's going on with them now. That's incredible. So, okay, so you want to choose
exactly.
the best service providers to provide your clients. I mean, it makes you look, I mean, to say it bluntly, it makes you look good if you're able to perform that well. And that
Yes.
only comes down to the value and the efficiency of your vendors. I mean, that makes absolute sense as well. So that's really key, I think. So you offer them the best options financially plus the best options from a service standpoint so that they are comfortable and they make an informed purchase decision when they take your advice. And I think that's key to a successful business.
It's, it's very important for the employer to make an informed decision for his employees,
Agreed.
and
Yeah.
we often have sessions with the employees beforehand as well, explaining to them, this is what we've presented to your employer. This seems like the best option. And we explain it to them before we actually start with the fund, because you need the buy-in of your staff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one of the things that we do. I've got a consultant that goes out to the clients and he can actually speak some of the African languages. So it makes the communication a little bit easier,
Mm-hmm.
so that we know that they understand it. What we then also do is, once we've signed up the client, my consultant will go out and make sure that we get all the beneficiary nominations and everything completed. We don't necessarily need it at that point. The employer can keep it on file, but we don't want a situation, if there's a death, then there's no beneficiary form that was completed,
Wow.
which causes so much issues. So we make sure those little things are in place to make the smooth running of the fund easier.
That's brilliant. So yeah, you're pre-planning, and I think so many people, especially when it comes to finances, in whatever aspect of finances, there is no pre-planning. It's day to day, month to month, and if something goes wrong, oops, we'll sort it out then, which is really the wrong way to do it. And I think if you're helping them establish that pre-plan, so when something does go wrong, their process is smooth. I know people who've got dying loved ones around, and let's say it's the husband and the wife. She's busy struggling, going, "How am I going to make next month's payment?" She doesn't know what the next step is because he's incapacitated or has already died, or whatever the case is. And it can't. There shouldn't be that stress around this. And if you are able to sort it out for them up front, there's no question that hey, this will be although a difficult situation because of losing loved ones and that, but it's going to be a smooth process that you don't have to worry about the financial side, which I think becomes the biggest problem down the line, for many people.
Yeah, definitely. And we often, it's never nice when we get an email from a client informing us that one of their staff members have passed away.
Yeah.
But you know what? We are the only one in that whole chain that actually provides relief
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a very good
through
point.
through what we are doing. And what we've also found, another point, there's a lot of existing funds, but they, obviously, as I mentioned before, they do not get the service.
Mm.
And what we find, normally what happens, let's say senior staff, and they've maybe got 5 times annual salary benefit, that type of thing, but they are above the free cover limit. Then if they do not submit that medical, their cover is restricted to the free cover limit. So
My
let's say
word.
the free cover limit's 3 million, they've got 3 million,
Yeah.
but they actually qualified for 5 million. Now, in this guy's mind, he thinks he's got 5 million rands cover.
Yeah. Sure.
No one ever communicated to him that he needs to do a medical. And when he passes away, that leaves everybody up in arms because he thought he had more cover, or his family, than
Unbelievable. Yeah, and what a shock. You
it's
don't want that shock when you've just had a death or something tragic happening. You don't want that sort of shock to come along as well. I mean, that shouldn't happen.
yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, no, so it's education, and people don't know this stuff. And as you say, if these companies pitch up once a year or see you every now and then, and you don't know any of the stuff, and you think it's all in place, and then something goes wrong, and shock and horror, it falls apart. But if you're on top of it the whole time, at least they know that, hey, I can trust your company to make sure that this is in good hands, that it's safe, that everything's going to work out well. Tell me, what do you think has been the success of your business? You're from when you started. How long ago did you start, by the way? And from there till now, what has been your success?
I've been working in the financial industry most of my life, but I started my consulting business in 2008.
Okay.
And it's basically where I just realized that the small to medium-sized employers are often neglected. And you need to offer something that is balanced employee benefits consulting. And with that, I mean, you look at the company profile and you try and balance something to meet their requirements.
Yes.
So I think that has been one of the successes, is that I don't go to an employer and just offer a off-the-shelf solution. I ask them, what do they want? What do they need? And we would structure it accordingly. To give you an example, let's say a company has got blue-collar workers, they've got their, let's say, normal staff, and then they've got top management.
Mm-hmm.
I can offer 3 different benefit tiers within that whole package, so that because the directors might tell you, listen, the directors, they need a bit more life cover, and they need something like rare disease cover, the typical things that gets us when we get a little bit older, like
Yes.
heart attack, stroke, that type of thing. But they don't necessarily want that benefit for the low income earners, because obviously it costs a little bit more money. And we need to balance that so that you've got good benefits, but you've also got a good amount of money going into savings for your retirement.
Yeah.
Because we all know in this country, there's very few people that can actually retire.
Oh, most can't. Yeah, exactly. Most can't. It's unbelievable. So I agree with you. So if you're able to go in there and actually do proper financial planning, that's what it is for these guys for their future, and help them come out stable, come out well at the end, so that their 65 years or 40 years of working is actually beneficial to their golden years at the end. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've one of the challenges that we do face is sometimes the ignorance of employers
Really? Okay.
as to the Basic Employment Benefit Act and also the POPI Act. It's a protection of your personal information.
Yes.
So that does make it challenging for us, but we obviously, when we communicate with clients with sensitive information, everything is password protected and that type of thing. But sometimes an employer gets irritated with us if we password protect their schedule, for example. But their schedule contains ID numbers, salaries, all of that. So, it's a continuous education process in terms of the changing financial environment that we are in. And it's obvious, it is to protect the employee and the employer,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't always see it like that.
No, I can imagine. I can imagine for sure. But that's, I mean, and again, you have to abide by these laws. I mean, your FSP license is at stake, and it's a good thing for the clients to know that you have to work by these laws, else you're not in business. So for their protection, for their financial, the confidential information that you've got of theirs, because I suppose you get to see pretty much everything, and they need to trust you that this information is safe with you because you are the professional in this game, and then holding their hand month to month through the business. I think that's excellent. Tell me, what can clients expect from you when they when they choose to use you and they see you? What can they expect when they meet you?
They can firstly expect us to go. Let's say I meet a client that's got an existing fund, but they might not be happy with the service that they've received.
Okay.
Now, I'm not. Firstly, I'm a very easygoing, relaxed person.
Okay.
But that does not mean, I've worked in the financial industry all my life and for large investment companies and all of that type of thing.
Right.
So I understand the delicacy of talking about money with a client. And so what a client can expect from us is to treat them professionally and to go beyond for our clients. We've got emails coming through all hours of the night, and sometimes some of my staff answers these emails like 2:00 in the morning or stuff like that. Not that I expect them to work those hours, but
that's rare.
it's important for us when we get a schedule in, we want to finalize it that day. It's not like we're going to, let's say you send it in on the 28th of the month, and we know it's only going to be paid by the 7th. We're not going to leave it lying around in our inbox until the 4th. We try and do everything the minute we get it. We do get clients that send us a schedule, 4:00 on a Friday afternoon, the day before the 7th of the month. And then, it doesn't matter. We have to sit and finish it.
But that's rare. That's just an example of pure good service, which as you know, and many people know, that in South Africa we lack that big time. So,
Yes.
if you are able to do that, that's just really good for customers. They should know then that, hey, I'm in good hands, and I think that's what counts. If you are serving your customers like that, yeah, I wish many others would. That would be amazing. Then at least we move forward and we become more productive, and you put clients' minds at rest. I think that's incredible. It really is. So they can expect brilliant service from you. It just sounds like that's all that they
Yes.
get. I mean, and more. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
incredible. Well done.
Yes.
That's very,
And
very, very.
and then just to mention something to you on the death claims, when we receive Provident Fund withdrawals, funeral or death claims, if all the documents are submitted and completed, we finalize that through to the service provider within 24 hours.
Okay.
Because, we're talking, look, most funeral claims is paid within 24 hours.
Right.
So it's important for us to submit that
I
once
see.
again, if we have all the documents so that we can be sure that the service provider can actually do the payment within the 24-hour period.
Right. So you're not the
Obviously,
delay. You're not delaying their payment, so it comes through a week
yes,
later
yes.
because you're sitting on your desk. So you make sure that happens
Yeah.
now. Wow. Okay. Incredible.
Yeah.
Especially in that stressful time. Hey, when those people are struggling
Yes.
with a loss, then get it all sorted. I love that. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. You can't have that, just hanging around on your desk. I mean, that's very, very important for us.
For sure. For sure. Okay. So tell me, you work countrywide. You work throughout South Africa.
Yes.
What sort of companies too big? What sort of companies too small for you? And who is your ideal client? So that if people want to reach out to you, they know that they fit the type of customer that you would serve.
Daryl, there's two options. There's obviously the new client, the new employer that, and in my words, new means someone that doesn't have any benefits for their staff.
Okay.
Can contact us, and we prefer to work with your small and medium-sized companies.
Okay.
Not that we will not look at a larger company, but it's a very complex process, especially when there's unions involved, when there's sectoral determinations
Yes.
for the larger companies. So we typically like the companies between 20 members and about 150 members.
Okay.
That for us is a good size employer to work with. Not that we don't want to help the smaller guys. The smaller guys, we can also help them, although the service providers that we can make use of is very limited.
Huh.
I don't want to mention names of service providers, but you get some of them that say, oh, we're not interested in 20 members.
Wow. So it's not worth their time, hey? My goodness.
It's not worth their time.
Yeah, wow.
We can even help employers that's got 2 members, but when you are less than 10 employees, we cannot get you benefits that offers a free cover limit.
Right. Okay.
But we can still help those clients as well.
It makes sense. It's a scalable issue. So I mean, so that makes sense. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is, and that's beyond your control. But it makes sense. Okay.
And then we've got those employers that does have a provident fund or funeral benefits or a pension fund in place for their staff.
Mm-hmm.
But they might not be so happy because they have not received proper service in the past.
Right.
Those ones are very easy for us to have a look at. I mean, it's not going to cost the employer anything to change to us because the service providers pays a standard commission out to people like us.
So regardless, it's no more or no less for you. So it's not like the client's getting ripped off at all because it's not in your control. Yeah. So that's good. Okay, cool.
They would typically just sign what we call a broker appointment for us. They appoint us as their brokers doing the service for them. And we will start immediately with a monthly work on their fund. At the same time, we will look at the benefits to see, have they got the benefits that they required? When last was it updated? I don't like moving a fund from one service provider to another because we call that a Section 14 transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is what you need to do, but that is quite a long process.
Right.
So I would first try and restructure. Let's say they're with company ABC. They I can restructure within company ABC, but then start offering them the service that they deserve as an employer.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Just as we're about to wrap up, tell me, what is the best way clients can get hold of you? What's the best contact detail of yours that they can get through to you to make sure that they get the best service that you offer?
Daryl, my email is obviously preferred because then we've got a paper trail in terms of communication. My email address is Marietjie, spelled Marietjie, at 20, the word 20, TWENTY, the number 2, and TWENTY.co.za.
So it's 2220.co.za.
That's correct. The 2 is in numeric, the 20s are written out. My contact number is 082 82 462 11. And they are also welcome to go and have a look at our website, www.twenty2twenty.co.za.
Fantastic. So if you're a company looking to give your employee benefits and a run for its money and make sure that you're getting the best possible service, I think make sure you get hold of Marietjie from 2220.co.za. Check her out, see what she's about, and make sure that you get another, and from my opinion, a very professional viewpoint on your employee benefits for your business, to make sure that you give your staff the best benefits, you get the best service for that benefit, and make sure that it's a good way to retain staff. And I think that's going to be key. Marietjie, thank you so much for your time on the podcast. And I think you're going to impress a lot of people with what you have just said.
Thanks, Daryl. I appreciate it.
We will chat soon.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you can get notified when we load our next video.